Okay. So in the previous sessions, we created database tables using data dictionary, and we created data elements, domains, also generated the table maintainer generator screen to maintain the data in tables. Also, we have created foreign key relationships, assigned check table, right, in the foreign key relationships. Also, we created the text tables. So what is the use of text table?
Automatic language
Automatic language
translation.
translation.
Language translation.
Depends on the user login language. It should display the text. Okay. So it should display text in the corresponding language. So that different languages text we need to maintain in text tables. Okay. Along with language code as a primary key. Right. So in any text table, what is the common primary key? Language key, and the other primary key is that key value,
Key
right?
value.
So in that combination, we maintain the text for multiple languages, and we assign. How can we assign a text table?
Foreign key option.
By using foreign key relationship. The difference between normal assigning a check table and assigning a text table is so when you are assigning the text table, you need to select a option, right? Assign as a text table option. You need to select. Then it consider it as a text table. Okay. So you need to go to text table, select the primary key field, right, and assign the foreign key relationship using check table. Okay, and you need to select the option as a text table, right? And sometimes when you try to assign a foreign key relationship, sometimes it display the proposal automatically. It will automatically detect the check table. How is that possible?
We using
Value
domain
table.
where
If the value table is already assigned in the domain level, right? If the value table is already assigned in the domain level, and when you try to assign check table on the same field, it will automatically detect the check table, or it will propose the check table. Okay, it will automatically propose the check table. Okay, so value table we assign in the domain level. Value table nothing but master data table. For example, for employee ID master data, ZDemo employee is the value table, and same we use as check table, right, in the foreign key relationships. Okay, is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we'll discuss one more important concept, that is
Sir, can you explain one more, sir?
on which topic?
As a text table.
Hmm. So text tables are for automatic language translation to maintain descriptions or text in multiple languages. Okay, when
Yes,
user
sir.
log in with English, right, the text or output should be displayed in English language, right? If user logged in with the German, right, so the text or descriptions should display in German language,
German.
right? So
Yes, sir.
how that is possible? How the
By
system is
using
able to identify the corresponding language text? By maintaining the text in text tables with different languages, right?
yes,
And we need to maintain the text in the custom objects. If it is a standard records, the text is already maintained, right? If it is
yes,
custom object, we need to maintain the text, right? If it is a custom record, we are creating a record newly. If we are adding a new material, right? We need to maintain that material description in multiple languages manually. Okay. Or when you are creating the material, right? We use a special transaction code MM01. When you are creating a material, right? So you can update the text automatically. You don't need to go to corresponding table and create it. Okay, we don't do it manually. But when you are trying to create a material, it will automatically save that material text in the corresponding text tables. Okay,
Yes,
clear?
sir. Yes, sir.
And sometimes we need to manually maintain. If it is a custom table, we need to manually maintain the text. Okay. When you are reading the text tables, what is the mandatory input? Corresponding key value and language. Because if you take employee 100 and let's assume we are maintaining the employee names in a text table. If you just pass employee 100, which language you are trying to select, right? So what language text you want to display? That is also required, right? That's why you need to pass language as well, right? Which language you want to display when you are reading data from text tables.
Okay.
And today we'll discuss on structures. Structures also one of the data dictionary object. Okay. So what is the use of structures? Structures are a group of fields. So what is a structure? We group related fields together. Columns are fields. Okay. Group of related columns are fields. It is also when you try to create the structure, so it is similar to table. So the structure creation is little similar to table, right? But the difference is structure cannot store any data. Can we store data in the table permanently? Can we store data in a database table or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We can store the data
Yes.
permanently, but in the structure, we cannot store the data. We can just group the columns or fields. Okay, is everyone clear? It's very important interview question. Difference between table and structure. So table, we can store the data, right? And it contains a primary key, foreign keys, and everything. And in structure, it's just a group of fields where we group similar fields together. For example, address fields. What can we find in address columns? If we talk about address, what are the fields available in address data?
City pin code.
Yes, door number, street, region or state, country, pin code.
In-
5 6 columns are there, right, in address data. So we
Yes, sir.
can group all these address data columns into one structure that is called address structure, right? And what is the use of this? We can reuse the structure. What is the use of structure? We can reuse this group of columns in multiple database tables or structures as well, within a different structure as well. For example, I'll tell you one example. You are trying to create database tables. For example, vendor master data, customer master data, material master, sorry, plant master data, warehouse master data. What is common in all of this? What is the common data? Let's assume address. Address is common data. So what is the customer address? What is the vendor address? What is the plant? Plant nothing but some factory. What is the address of it? What is the warehouse address? Address is common, right, in all these tables.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How many columns are there in address data? Around 5 to 6 columns. In every table, do you need to enter all these 5 6 columns manually in every table?
Maybe you can reduce this.
No need. You can group those columns as one single structure and use that structure in all the tables wherever you need address data. Do not need to worry about what are the columns we need to have in the address column and what is the data type of it, right? You don't need to worry about it. Create one structure with address data columns and use that structure in all the tables wherever you need address data fields. Okay, I'll show you how to add a structure to the database table or to other structure, right? We can add structure to a database table or other structures as well. Okay, is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
When you add structure to the database table or to the other structure, whatever the columns available in that structure, right? They're going to be part of the table. How we manually maintain the columns? Similarly, you are going to add additional columns to the database table by using a structure. Okay. Only thing is, here we have a flexibility of reuse, right? You don't need to manually enter all these columns every time, right? Is everyone clear?
Amar, these like structures have to be maintained separately again.
We need to create
The stru-
separately. Yeah, we need to
Separate
create.
structures. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we need to create separately in data dictionary, right?
Okay. Okay.
There is one more advantage of maintaining structures. Let's say there is a change in pin code or some other column. It is common for all the database tables, right? Whatever the database table, wherever we are maintaining address, pin code is common column, right? Let's say there is a change in data type of the pin code. Maybe there is a change in length due to some change in organizational rules. Do we need to go to every table and update it? Or if there is a change in column name, do you need to go to every table and update it? Yes,
We
if
can
you maintain separately, if you maintain manually in different tables, you need to go to every table and update it to change the column name or to change the order. But if you maintain these columns in a structure and you added this structure everywhere in all the multiple tables, you don't need to go to each and individual table. Just update that column name in the structure so that wherever you are referring this structure in all the database tables, that will be automatically updated. It is easy to maintain, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
yes.
That is the other another advantage of using structures. Okay. So mainly group the related data. Okay. It is to group the maintain the related data. Cannot store the records or data. Like table, you cannot store the records. Can use only during can hold data only during program runtime. So we can use these structures in the program level where we can hold data temporarily during program runtime. We cannot store the data permanently in structures. Okay. What is the other key point here? Reuse. Okay. Reuse the structure. We can reuse structures in multiple tables or multiple other structures, right? It is easy to maintain. Okay.
Sir, it should not contain any primary keys, right?
No, it won't contains any primary keys, foreign keys, size categories, right? Delivery and maintenance, nothing. Just group of fields. Okay. And it
Okay.
won't store any data. So what is the transaction code? To create a structure,
SC11
SC11.
S11. S11, we need to go to data types and select
structure.
structures. Okay. We can also use structures in the program to define the data objects. Okay. Now, let's see how to create a structure. Let me open any database table for any existing fields. Let's say we need to create a structure with employee ID, employee name and a phone number, communication data, okay, and email ID. I want to create a structure for communication data, right? What are the communication data here? Observe this database table.
Employee
Communication data. Just tell me
like phone and
communication data
email.
fields. Phone,
Phone and email.
email. Only these two are the communication data, right? So I want to
Yes.
group these two columns, communication data columns, into a structure. So how to create a structure? Go to SC11. Not only the existing columns, you can also create your own columns, just like how we did in the database tables. You can also create your own columns as per your requirement when you are creating a structure. Okay. You can create a data element domain in the same way how we did in the table. Z demo. I'm following some naming convention. Yes, yes indicates it as a structure, right? It is not mandatory to use yes, right? But just I am using this naming standard, right? So that we can easily identify it as a structure by looking at the name itself without opening it. Okay, just zdemo as communication data. Create. What is the option you need to select? Structure. Provide the description of the structure. Communication data. What you can find here? Attributes. Anyway, it contains who created it, when it is created, and what is the package. Components. Here you need to maintain the columns. Okay, here you need to maintain the columns. Okay, there is no technical settings or anything, primary key option, nothing. Just maintain the columns. You can create your own column names, or you can collect from different tables and group those columns here. Okay, you can collect different columns available in the different tables and group those columns here. Okay, you can use any name. For example, let's say you are using EMP ID, right? Here you can use employee ID. Okay, there is no rule that you have to use same field name in the structure also, but in general we maintain common names. Okay, do we need employee ID in the communication data? No, not required. So remove it. Phone. And what is the data type? Select types. And what is the data type? You can also use built-in types here. You can also use built-in types without using data elements and domains. What is the data type of phone number? Z phone number. Enter it. What is the other column? Email. Okay. What are the other possible columns in communication data?
With communication.
Address.
Hmm. Address. Can we add address column like this?
No, we need to add
Address
relevant
is
code.
not a single field, right? Address contains street, city, state, country, and postal code, right? So we need to add all of these columns here. You can refer these columns from any standard table or you can create your own. For example, I'll add social media as a column, right? In the communication data, I'm adding social media as a column. Type. Do you have a corresponding data element and domain for this social media details?
No.
Let's assume there is no existing thing available. Then create it. Social ID. Okay. Double click on it to create the data element. It is the same process. Select the local object for now. What is the type we are creating? Data element, right? Select the data element. Social media ID. Maintain the field label.
Sir, if we use built-in type, can we reuse it?
Sorry, what is it?
If we go with built-in type, can we reuse the structure?
Yeah, you can reuse the structure, but you cannot reuse data elements and domains, right? You don't have that flexibility
Okay.
if you use built-in types. But you can reuse the structure. Okay. Let me create a domain. Data type, length, let's assume 40. Okay, I'll make it as a case sensitive. Activate the data element and go back. Okay. Now my structure is ready. Let's assume only these three columns I need. Okay. You try with address data like cities, whatever the address field, create a structure for address data. Okay. Now my structure is ready. So observe this currency and quantity fields. So when we need to maintain this currency and quantity fields, when we have a data with the currency and quantity values, at that time we need to maintain currency and quantity fields. So after this we'll see that example how to maintain currency and quantity fields. It is same for both tables and structures. Okay. Now activate the structure. You don't need to maintain any other data, just maintain the group of fields and activate the data. If you want, you can also use built-in type to add more columns if you don't want to maintain the data element and domain. Now my communication data structure is ready. Now how to use this structure in my data dictionary objects. Let's see how Maybe in the next class we'll see how can we use structures in the program level. Okay, but now we'll see how to use this structure in the data dictionary objects. I'll do one simple thing. I'll copy this table. I'll copy this table into a separate table. ZDemo employee. How can you copy an existing table? Enter the database table name. Select this option. Copy. You can copy different objects like views, structures, right? Data elements, domains by using this option. Copy option. Select it. Copy. Or I'll do one thing. Instead of copy, first I'll remove the communication columns. I'll add these columns by using structure. Okay, these two columns I'll remove. First activate the database table. Database table is active. Okay, now what is my requirement? I have to add the communication data. So, right, I don't want to maintain communication data columns manually. When I am creating a table, right, I don't want to maintain communication data columns manually because these communication data columns are very common for multiple tables. That's why I group these columns into one structure. And how I am going to add this structure to the database table? Dot
By using
include. Dot include. How can you add a structure to the database table or other structures? By using dot include statement and corresponding structure name. Enter. Okay. Now your structure is added to the table. Now activate the database table. Since you did not add any primary key fields, it's not active. We no need to go to database utility. Okay. Now your structure is active. Now your database table is also active. Go back and just display again. Are these columns part of your table or not?
Yes.
These are automatically added to your table. Okay. Is everyone clear? How to add structure to a
Amar,
table?
can you please once again repeat
Same
it? I missed it.
process we do for structures as well. You can add one structure to the another structure. Okay, you can add one structure to another structure just to reuse the columns. Okay, same
Okay.
by using dot include. You can keep on adding multiple structures. You can keep on adding multiple structures using dot include. Communication data, right? Address data, right? Whatever the group of fields you want to add, you can keep on adding here. Okay, is everyone clear?
Yes.
Let's assume we need to change the column name due to some requirement change, or you need to change the data type and length. Let's try to change the column name. Can we change from the table? Can we change the structure details from table? Whatever the
No.
columns available? No. You can only change from structure only. Okay. I'm using underscore in the column name. Activate the structure. Structure is active. Now go back to the database table. Display the table again. Name is reflected or not?
Yes.
The new name is automatically reflected in the database table, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So it is easy to maintain like a common data which you are using in multiple tables, right? If there is any change, you don't need to go to every table and change it. Just update it in the corresponding structure. It will be replicated in all the corresponding database tables. Okay? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
How can you know a corresponding a specific structure is using in any other objects, including tables, programs, or other structures. How can you know that? By using where is the list. Enter the structure name, right? Use where is the list. Select where you want to check. Do you want to check in the programs? Do you want to check in other structures? Do you want to check in database tables? Where you want to check? Continue. There is only one object where it is being used. That is database table. ZDemo employee. Okay. So you can check before doing any changes, right? To the structures or data elements domains. Always do where is list. Always do dependency analysis because these are all reusable objects, right? Yes or no? Data elements, domains, and structures.
Yes, sir.
Since these are reusable objects, we should not cause any impact on the different object, right? If you are working on a specific requirement, right, don't do changes as per your requirement because it's being used in many other applications, right? So do the dependency analysis. If I do any changes to the structure, data element, or domain, is it going to impact any other object, right? Do the dependency analysis before doing any changes to the structures, tables, sorry, structures, data elements, and domains. Okay, is everyone clear?
Yes. Yes, sir.
If it is impacting, if it is impacting most of the objects, then create your own different object instead of changing it. Okay, if there is huge impact on the system. Okay, now we have one more important option. See, since we need additional fields, we just changed the table. We just changed the table and added to database table by using a structure or individual columns also you can add, right? If it is a custom table, whenever you need some additional columns. What about the standard tables? Can we add custom fields to the standard tables? Can we add custom fields to the standard tables?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you can add, but there is a you need to use a special option. But when you are trying to change the standard tables, please be aware that you are disturbing the, or you are going to impact the standard programs also wherever the table is being used. For example, take KNA1 table. What is KNA1? Customer master data
Customer
table.
master.
So let's say we have a requirement to add additional columns, right? Customer phone number, customer email ID, and customer social media IDs to the standard table. Can we change the standard table?
No.
No, we cannot change the standard table. What we can do to add the custom columns? Use
Append
append
structure.
structure. Use append structure option to add the custom columns. Observe here one thing. What is this? Dot include
Include
structure
structure.
name. It is a standard structure automatically. Sorry, it is a standard structure already available. Okay, if you double click, what is this? It is a structure. So when they are developing the standard functionalities also, they group all the relevant data into one structure and add it to KNA1 table, right? What is this data for? What is this structure? General data and customer master data. Whatever the general data, they grouped into these columns into one structure. Similarly, you can find multiple structures in this table. So why they are using structures in this database table? For reusability. Okay, for reusability there is one more standard structure here, right? We use structures to for reusability so that we can use the same structure in different places, right? And it is easy to maintain, right? Now what is the option to add custom columns? We can use append structure. If you use append structure option, where your custom columns are going to be added. Is it after the primary key, or is it in the second position, or is it in the 10th position? Where your fields are going to be added, whatever the
End of
custom
the
fields are
table.
added. If you use append structure, they are going to be added at the
End of the
end
table.
here. Email ID, phone number, and social media. 3 columns will be added here at the end of the table. Please remember, it's a very important interview question. It's going to be added at the end of the table, right? There is another flexibility here. If you want to add at specific position, maybe here in these columns, after these columns, what is the option we can use? If we
Include
have any
structure.
dot include like this, if we have any dot include like this, using a standard structure, double click on this, you can enhance this structure. Instead of database table, you can enhance this structure by using same option, append structure option. So to add custom fields to the database tables or standard structures, what is the option we have? Append structure
And
option we have. If you directly use append structure option in the database table, where this columns is going to be added?
At the last.
At the end of the table. At the end of the table. If you want to place in between the columns, right? Not at the end. Try find, is there any include structure available in the database table? Is there any include structure available in the database table? There is one here, right? There is one structure available here. Add those columns to this structure so that those columns will be added in between the fields, not at the end. Okay, clear? It's very important interview question. You can use append structure option, or you can also use include structure option if that include structure is available in the database table. You can add database tables here, right? You can append here so that this will be added in between the columns, not at the end. Now, let's use append structure. Append structure, create append structure. These are all standard append structures created by the system at the time of development. Create append structure. Provide the append structure name. Provide the append structure name. Continue. Now, okay, continue. Additional columns for communication data. Continue. Then what we need to add here? Columns. What are the additional columns you want to add? Phone number, corresponding data element, email, corresponding data element, and social media ID and corresponding data element. So you have added the additional columns directly into the append structure. We are not using any structure option here. We are manually maintaining the columns here. We are manually maintaining the columns, right? And activate the append structure. Activate the append structure. It will take some time to activate this structure because we are enhancing a standard table, right? The standard table references will be defined in multiple places in many applications. The system has to do all the dependency analysis before going to activate this. That's why it will take time to activate the standard objects. Okay.
Sir, can we reuse this append structure?
That's what I'm going to show. Let's first see how to add manual Columns. Yeah, we cannot reuse the append structures. Okay, we cannot reuse the append structures. Append structures are local to only one single table or a structure. Okay, we do not have an option to reuse the append structure. That's why it is not recommended to maintain the columns individually in the append structures. Okay, we cannot reuse it. Instead of maintaining the individual columns, what we can do, add structure name here using dot include. Inside the append structure, create a structure with group of fields what we need to add, and use that structure name here instead of maintaining the individual columns. That is what recommended. Okay, so that you can reuse that structure in different tables. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
Okay, by the time the standard sorry table is activated, we'll see different structure using currency and quantities. Okay, or order details, order data. Okay, let's take this one structure, or we'll see employee related data only, since we have already created we will create a structure called employee salary structure, or just salary structure also fine. Create a structure, employee salary data. What is the column? Salary. What is the perfect data type for salary or any amount column?
Packed decimal.
Packed
Packet
decimal.
decimal.
Let's create a data element with packed decimal. So looks like there is one data element is already available with the packed decimal. Double click on this. Create data element. Create the domain. What is the type we need to select here? Packed decimal. But here in the data types, right? You can see CURR. CURR means currency. Okay, CURR means currency, right? If you want to maintain any currency values, what is the data type you need to take? CURR. Okay, behind the scenes, it refers to the packet decimal only. Okay, number of characters 10, and what about the decimal places? Two or
Hmm?
three decimal places. If you want to maintain the precise value, you have to increase the decimal places, right? And activate the domain. Go back, activate the data element. It is a currency value, right? Let's assume we just need only this value here. Let's try to check the syntax of this table. Check the syntax. What it is saying?
Reference table and
Specify
reference field.
reference table and reference field. Double click to know the more details. You must specify reference table and reference field for containing currency amounts and quantity data. So you have specified either only reference field or reference table. Okay. So we need to maintain that reference. Why it is required? For example, I'll ask you. I'm going to ask you like, what is your salary? You'll just say 10,000. What is that 10,000? Is it INR, dollars, euro, right? Pounds? Depends on that currency value. The 10,000 value will be decides, right?
Yes.
10,000 INR is not equal to $10,000, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So when you are defining amounts and quantities, it is mandatory to maintain the reference unit. What is it? Is it Indian rupees, dollars, pounds? You need to define the unit as well. Okay, that's why they made it mandatory. And when you are defining the quantity, I'll just say 10. What is 10? Is it kg? Is it lbs? Is it 10 kilometers, 10 miles, or 10 liters? Without that unit, we cannot measure this quantity, right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
If you just mention 10 as a value, right, we cannot perfectly measure it. You need to provide the reference unit as well. 10 kgs, 10 liters, or 10 pieces, like that. Yes or no?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Let's create one column for weight as well. Or maybe first let's fix this employee salary data. Salary or currency will maintain column like this. Type. What is the type we need to take? Currency. Sorry. What is the data type we need to take for currency key? This one, CUKY.
Okay, bye.
CUKY is the currency key. I'll show you what are the master tables, right? How can you easily find the reference field for the columns, right? Activate the domain, go back to the data element. So we have activated the currency key as well. Now check the table, sorry, structure. Still showing the same error. Why? Because we maintained the currency key, but not yet provided the reference. Where you need to provide that reference fields? In
Currency.
currency and quantity fields. In currency and quantity fields. For salary, it is enabled here. What is the reference field and reference table? Right? You can provide the self reference like this, reference field and reference table structure. You can provide the self reference like this, or you can take other table reference. I'll show you the master table for currency and quantity fields. Now let's check the table. No inconsistency is found because we have assigned the currency and quantity field, right? Sorry, we assign the reference key for that. Okay. What about quantity? Means weight, distance, measures, right? Let's take weight as a data element. Let's assume employee weight or something. Double click to create the data element. Create the domain as well. What is the data type we need to take for weight? For quantity, this one, QUAN, quantity. Okay, QUAN, quantity. Okay, provide the length and decimal places. If you don't want any decimal places, you don't need to give. Okay, activate it. Now again, check the consistency. What it is expecting. Specify reference field or table for the quantity field. Okay. What you need to maintain? Reference unit you need to maintain. Okay. So unit of measure. Okay. Unit of measure. I'm just taking UOM, or you can also take unit. Okay. Unit of measure. Type UOM. Unit of measure. What is the type we need to take for unit?
UNIT.
Unit, this one, UNIT, unit. For quantity. Okay. For quantity you need to take unit. Number of characters, but mostly it is 2 or 3. Let's assign 5. Okay. Always refer the standard fields. For now we are just creating custom ones. Always refer the standard fields to identify the reference unit. Okay, maximum is 3. Yes. For unit, maximum is 3. Okay. Now activate the domain and go back to the data element and activate it. Did we maintain field label? No. OEM. We don't maintain the field label, right? So it won't display any report headings. UOM is also completed. Sorry, unit of measure also we created. Now what we need to do? To assign the reference, go to currency and quantity fields. You can provide the self reference. Okay. Check the consistency. Oh, not this one, right? Wait. You need to provide. Sorry, unit of measure. Right? No inconsistency is found and activate the structure. This is the same process what we follow for database tables as well. If you are maintaining salary data, currency data, or any measures, so right, we need to do the same process in database tables also. You need to assign reference table and reference field. Okay, is everyone clear?
Small. So these fields what you put
Is everyone
reference and
clear?
the currency.
Yes, sir.
Let's see whether our standard table is active or not. Warnings, just a warning. No, it is active. Go back to the table. We'll go back to the our append structure. So our append structure is created. Continue. Now go back to the standard table. Close this. Your standard table is also active. Whenever you append the columns, please make sure your standard table is active. It should not be partially active or inactive. If it is partially active or inactive, that means there is some issue in the table activation. It's going to create huge impact, right? No program is going to work. Whatever the program it is that is referring this table. Okay, so please make sure your database table is active before transporting. Your columns are added here, right? At the end of the database table, phone, email, and social media, right? If you want to add in between, find any include structure, open this include structure, and add append structure name, provide the name, and create the append structure details. Okay, so that it will add in between the columns. Okay, is everyone clear? Now go to this append structure again. Go to the append structure, double click. We added columns individually, right? We did not reuse any structure. We added manually individual columns. But don't do it. Always create a structure with group of fields, right? And use dot include and corresponding structure name. Okay, what is the structure name? Communication, right? So instead of adding individual columns, use a structure name in the append structure. Now currently we are in append structure, right? Don't add individual columns in the append structures. Always add a structure name. Okay, so that if there is any future changes to these custom fields, you can easily maintain from this structure instead of going to append structure. Okay, now activate the append structure again. Again, it will take time to activate it. Okay, by the time it is activated, we'll see the standard tables available for currency and quantity fields. Let's open any table called VBAK. VBAK is sales order header data table. VBAK is the sales order header data table, and it is a standard table. Whenever a sales order is created, that header data will be maintained in this database table in background. Okay. I'm trying to find any currency and quantity fields in the standard table. Now I can find one. Net worth. What is this? Net value of the sales order. Net value of the sales order. Total value of the sales order. What is the reference type they are using? VBAK. WAERK. This, what is this? This column, I think. Currency key, CUKY. Okay, they are using self-reference here. This is how they maintain in the standard tables. Let's try to find any quantity fields. There is no quantity field here. Let's check in VBAP. What is VBAP? Sales order item data table,
Item.
item level data. For example, if you order something, is it going to be only one item you are going to purchase, or is there any possibility of purchasing multiple
Multiple.
in a single order? We purchase multiple also, right, in a single order, right?
Yes, sir.
So those we call as items, each material as a separate item, but the total order amount is same, right? The high level order details we maintain the header data, and the individual items we maintain in the item level data. Okay, we'll discuss in detail when we are working on the programs. Hmm. Currency and quantity fields. KMPMG, component quantity, right? So what is the reference they are using? MEINS. Okay, and there is one currency field as well here. What is MEINS? What is the type of this? Double click on this. Let's go to fields and double click, or check the data type here. Control F, MEINS. Unit, right? Unit is the data type. But how can you find what is, there should be a master table, right? For currency, what is the valid currency? What is the valid quantity, unit of measure? There should be a master table, right? To maintain this valid entries. Yes or no? For currencies and quantities. How can you
Yes,
find
sir.
that master table? Let's go to any unit or currency key. Let's take this currency key, right? Type is currency key. Let's try to find what is the master table for this currency key. Check. How can you check what is the master table for this currency key type or this field? Currency key data column
Using foreign.
using foreign key relationship. Just try to check, is there any foreign key relationship available? Yes, there is a foreign key relationship available. What is the table? Check table.
TCURC.
TCURC. This is the check table for currency key. What is the primary key here? WAER. Yes, nothing but currency key. Okay, nothing but currency key. This is the check table for currency key. Okay, instead of using self reference, go back to our structure. Where is our structure? Change it. Instead of using this self reference, right, you can also use TCURC. What is the column name? WAERS. Okay, try to check the consistency. No inconsistencies found. You can also use a different table reference field or master table reference field here. Okay, clear? You don't need to maintain a separate column for currency key. If you don't want to maintain the currency key, just provide the reference as a standard table and corresponding column. You don't need to create a separate column for currency key. If you don't want to maintain the currency key value, a separate value for currency key, okay, simply provide a reference field as a standard table. Is everyone clear?
So repeat once again.
If you don't want to maintain a separate column for currency key, corresponding currency key, right? What you can do, find the master table or check table for currency key. How can you find? Open any standard table, find any currency field, right? For example, this currency key, and check the master table for this, check table for this. TCURC is the check table. You can assign this table reference, currency key reference, okay, this table currency key reference, instead of adding one more additional column in your structure to maintain the currency key, okay.
Yes.
Similarly, you can do same for quantity columns as well. Find the check table for quantity, sorry, unit, right? Find the check table for unit and you can assign that unit reference in currency and quantity fields, okay. It is hung, I think. So currency and quantity fields also very important interview questions. You can provide the self reference or a different table reference or master table reference for currency and quantity fields. But maintaining reference unit and reference currency is mandatory whenever you are maintaining currency and quantity fields in your database tables. Is everyone clear? And what is the option we have to enhance the standard table? Okay, looks like 1 second. Let me connect to a different internet connection. Sorry. Yes, sorry, looks like there is some network issue. Can you see my screen again?
Yes.
Yeah. Instead of this unit reference, you can also try to find corresponding master table. How to find? Go to any standard data tables, for example, VBAP. and try to find any currency key field, sorry, unit field for quantity. This one, right? Try to find what is the check table for this quantity. What is the check table?
T double zero
T006. T006 is the check table for unit of measure, that is called quantity. What is the primary key here? MSCHI. Type is unit, right? You can also use this standard table reference, T006 reference in your table. Instead of maintaining a separate column for unit of measure, if you don't need a separate unit of measure column, just to provide the reference, provide this column name. Okay. Please remember, I am doing it in structure. The process is same for database table as well. When you are adding columns to the database table, currency and quantities to the database table, process is same. Okay. Is everyone clear?
yes.
Okay. So I'm using standard table references here for currency and quantity field. TCURC is the standard table for currency key and T006 is the standard table for unit of measure. You can also do this, or you can also do the self-referencing fields within the same structure or table. Okay. This is about currency and quantity fields. Is everyone clear on this? You can create custom columns for your currency and quantity measures or refer the standard table. Okay. Is everyone clear?
Yes.
Now go back to our append structure. Instead of adding individual fields, what I did here, I've added include structure, sorry, structure name here, so that you can reuse the same structure in multiple places, right? The outcome is same. It is added additional columns. Within the append structure, I've added a structure name, right? Is everyone clear? Instead of this, what is the other option available? If you don't want to add at the end, but in between the columns, just try to find is there any standard structure available. Go to that standard structure available and append to this standard structure so that the additional columns will be added here at the end of the structure columns. Right, somewhere around here after completion of these columns, it's added here instead of adding at the end of the table. Okay.